Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play ChäoS Child. In the last episode, Nono Kurisu was still worried about what Takuru was ultimately going through, when she was visited by none other than Serika, who was worried about her. But after a tense conversation, Kurisu revealed to Serika the truth about Senri. The fact that they were childhood friends in elementary school, along with Kawahara, but he's not important right now. Yeah. Fact of the matter is that Serika told Kurisu that they had found Senri Minamisawa's name and file in that underground facility, and that she was possibly, well, definitely the girl that they had encountered down there. Although I'm actually not quite sure whether or not Serika actually told her that much. That she was the girl that she and Takuru had inadvertently stumbled upon back in 2007. Yeah. And of course, with that said, Kurisu had summoned Takuru to most certainly discuss that topic. Unfortunately, Takuru has issues of his own, namely that the real Sumo Stickers, replicas of the, or rather perpetuations of the 11th Rorschach found in the facility, and not the hand-drawn fakes drawn by the people of Shibuya as some fad craze, have once again all awakened and are now soullessly following him with their gazes throughout the entirety of Shibuya, afflicting him and driving him insane. I had no idea of how long I've been running from the phantoms of the Sumo Stickers. But no matter where I ran, the whole of Shibuya was covered in Sumo Stickers. And each time I saw one, I felt sick, dizzy, as if I were going to throw up. Add that to the exhaustion from running and I was barely able to stand. We're probably as far from Aoba Dorm and as far from safety as we could be right now, which is not a good thing. They're definitely driving us into a corner. Just when I reached the conclusion that there was nowhere left in Shibuya for me to rest anymore, I saw a silhouette crouched in an alley. It was a person clutching their arms to their tiny body. They looked like a stray cat. It was so different from the girl that I was used to that at first I must be mistaken. Hinae? But when she looked up, I saw that was her. What is she doing here?
Miyashiro senpai.
何してるんだよ。こんなところで。
ちょっと気分が悪くて、あれのせいで。
I think we're all in the same boat. Arimoto pointed behind her but didn't turn around. But that was enough to tell me what she was pointing at. Because she's a giggler-maniac, she knows that they're staring at her too.
そっか、先輩も。 先輩もひどい顔してる。ダメなんでしょ、あれ。
Indeed.
違う、僕は。
You can't lie to Arimura. Even without her unique ability, she could see right through you. Almost like a sumo sticker can. I didn't want to admit it. If I admitted it, that would mean that I had a special power like Arimura, and that my life would be in danger. As I said before in the previous episode, and many times before that, your life already is in danger. You were marked the moment you decided to investigate. Well, actually, even before that, you were marked the moment you abandoned Senri Minamisawa back in 2007. And probably even before that. That would mean that instead of me going after the case would be coming after me, which it probably has been since the beginning.
なんだか急に数が増えたと思いません？あれ。
Yeah, they're spreading like a virus. Arimoto's voice was so soft that it was hard to hear her.
今テレビなんかでも話題になってるから、情弱度まで寄ってたかって張りまくってるんだ、きっと。
しかも偽物だけじゃなくて本物のシールまで。迷惑です。
Yeah, the fakes, however, are not responding the way that these sumo stickers are,
まったく
because
だ。
they're not the true.
そういう連中はすぐに飽きるとは思うけど。
Maybe, but then another craze will take its place.
だといいんですけど。
とりあえず青葉院へ行こう。僕やクルスが育った養護施設だ。そこなら診察室があるから具合が悪くても休める。
はい、すみません。
Oh, it's our only lifeline now.
立てるか。
それくらいはできます。
Question now is, can we actually get there safely? She forced herself to smile, then ignored my outstretched hand and stood up on her own. Getting to Aoba Dorm was a miserable experience. I could feel the influence of the sumo stickers increasing with every step I took, and Hinae is feeling the same.
大丈夫か。
はい。
Or so she said, but she didn't look good. Yeah, we're all in the same boat. And I wasn't in a position to be worrying about anyone else either.
早く青葉寮へ。
That was the one thought that drove me forward. But suddenly, yeah, our fortunes have run out. Because there she is. The very person who Kurisu wanted to talk to us about. The very person who has been hunting us from the start. She appeared before us. A woman. It was a woman with a strange presence. If we'd been on one of Shibuya's typically crowded streets, I doubt I would have noticed her. Funny that. But on this empty street, she was impossible to miss. Her long hair covered most of her face. And with the street light to her back, I couldn't read her expression at all. I could see the strange, hungry light that shone from her eyes through the thick hair that otherwise concealed her features. It was a dark light, one that somehow brought a deeper blackness, not illumination.
先輩
Arimoto's voice was shaking. She'd realized how strange the woman was too. And then my eyes met hers. This was a confrontation long in the making, Takuru. The next instant, she laughed, or so it seemed to me. Her laugh was empty, but at the same time, somehow satisfied. It was a laugh like evil itself, and it was like nothing I'd ever heard before in my life. And then, in a raspy, unpleasant voice, she spoke.
見つけた
Yay. I guess that means we're it. Oh, you have no idea. Because this is the person you thought was, yeah. Alarm bells went off in my mind. Indeed. The person you abandoned at the hospital, the person you had salved your conscience believing that she had been discharged from that facility. That was a very poor mistake. My knees started to buckle. My instincts told me that she was dangerous, that she is. Arimoto was staring at the woman, not moving a muscle. No, she probably couldn't have moved even if she had wanted to. And unfortunately, a D-sword is not going to help us in this situation. Not in the slightest. It was like we were paralyzed. As if the stickers weren't enough.
あの人
Arimoto barely got out the words.
多分能力者です
Oh, she's a gigalomaniac, alright. A psychic. I didn't want to admit it. But just looking at the woman in front of me was enough to dash all my hopes. This woman, her very existence was enough to make me believe. Unfortunately, she has a power we don't.
有村
なんですか？
あの女の能力ってのはどんな？
I didn't know about any of the Gigalomaniac's powers besides Arimoto's, but from what I'd seen so far, some of them were a lot more dangerous than the ability to tell when someone was telling the truth. There had to be more types, for instance ones that could be used as weapons. And there was no doubt in my mind that this woman had that sort of power.
くそ、こんなことならちゃんと調べておくべきだった。
Oh, we had many opportunities, Takuru. Many opportunities. It didn't matter whether I believed or not. No, it doesn't. How could I not have the information I needed at a time like this?
有村、
そんなの私にもわかりません。
Yeah, that's not surprising.
テレパシーなのか、プレコグニションなのか、クレアボヤンスなのか。ただ
Could be all those things and none of those things. Arimoto's eyes were fixed on a certain point. She probably couldn't look away. Also, apologies for knocking the microphone
あ
there.
の人の能力はもっと危険な、人に害を与える力だと。
Indeed. The woman started walking sluggishly towards us. Slowly, slowly. I finally realized that the reason she seemed to be off balance as she walked was that she was dragging one leg. Maybe she'd injured it, or maybe it had never worked right. She approached us one step at a time, as if enjoying our fear. She certainly is. And she's getting closer. She took another step. A horrible smile was frozen on her face. Her eyes were looking straight at us, as if she didn't want to let her prey escape.
逃げなきゃダメだ。
If only that were an option. But my body wouldn't move. My body had turned to stone, as if I'd been stared at by Medusa. And then suddenly, the wind blew. A woman's long hair flew up, and I could see just a little of her face. Oh no. Arimoto gasped. The woman had been terribly burned. Her face was covered in horrible burn scars. The smile disappeared from her face. Instead, it was replaced by rage. There was nothing there but burning rage in the color of anger. She slowly brought her hands up, and then pushed them out and towards us. Yeah, there are many forms of kinesis. There is telekinesis, there is psychokinesis, and there is one more that I am aware of. A power that this woman is probably going to demonstrate right here, right now. Yep, you guessed it. Pyrokinesis, ladies and gentlemen. Arimoto screamed and pulled at my hand as hard as she could. Yep, we're not, a pillar of flame sprung up right where I was standing. It was a blast of heat and the awful stink of burning asphalt. Burning pain ran down through my cheek as the heat struck it. As I said before, pyrokinesis. Yep. Yeah. That is her power. And her identity, Takuru Miyashiro, is Amy, or more specifically, Senri Minami Sawa herself. Back with a vengeance. And she is not playing around. She waved her arm and the next moment the space in front of me was a sea of crimson flames. Arimoto and I tried our best to get away from the fire. I knew that meant the ability to create fire. If I remembered right, it was a word created by a famous novelist. All over the world there were historical records of unexplained fires breaking out for no clear reason. Spontaneous human combustion, where a human body would suddenly burst into flame, was one form those incidents took. Of course, spontaneous human combustion was considered pseudoscience, as most scientists believed the incidents were actually caused by static electricity or EM waves. And now pyrokinesis was happening right in front of me. Yeah, we need to leave, or else we're gonna get trapped. The next thing I knew, the woman was stretching her hands out towards me. I rolled along the ground with Arimoto at almost the exact same moment as the fire exploded outward. Take back what I said about the D-sword, there, Arimoto. I think now is a very good time for you to use it. I think we're gonna need it. The smell of burning hair stung my nostrils. Yeah, we need to get the hell out of Dodge. It's not like we can go anywhere. We kept moving away, only barely dodging the burning flames. Pillar after pillar of fire appeared behind us. Looked like the flames had spread to a bike and some garbage that were lying by the roadside, but I didn't have time to check. If we don't get over soon, we're going to be surrounded by flames. The woman was getting closer, dragging her leg as she walked. I tried to grab her hand and run, but again with the flame attacks. A fire appeared right in front of us, and as we tried to dodge it, we both lost our balance and fell to the ground. A planted next to us was on fire. I looked up as the footsteps got closer and saw that the woman was right on top of us. Yeah, they say that revenge is a dish best served cold, but I doubt that Senri Minamisawa agrees with that sentiment. As she is. That was what was going through my mind as I lay there, frozen in terror. Also, I note that he didn't actually say that aloud in his mind. But never mind. This wasn't an anime or movie. This was reality. The pain from where I'd hit my leg when I fell. The pain from the burns. All these flames. The smell of melted asphalt. It was all real. Kunosato had said that the Gigalomaniac's power came from delusions. That they do. She's not wrong. And not just any delusions. These delusions affected the brains of others, and through being shared, they became reality. Indeed.
だからこそそれはこの上なく危険なんだ
Yes, and because of that, impossible pyrokinesis was happening right in front of me. And that power was going to kill me and Aomura. Delusional flames would become reality, and in that reality we were going to be burned to death. Unless we can escape somehow. Of course, even if we apologized, she is not seeking forgiveness. She is seeking vengeance. The woman slowly pointed her hands towards us. Maybe I was imagining it, but the air around me seemed to grow hotter. No, that's not a figment of your imagination.
Yeah.
As such. It is her figment. I don't want to die. I don't want to be roasted to death by these flames. No, I don't want to die. But can we escape? I still... Panicking isn't going to avert that fate, unfortunately. A bigger spiral of flame than any we'd seen before appeared before us. But at the same time, something strange appeared there in the corner of my eye. Frighteningly sharp, but frighteningly fragile. Infinite and finite. Phantasmal and real. Like all the ugliness and beauty in the world had been compressed into one object. It was a D-sword. Another very distinctive appearance. It was clearly a different shape than Arimoto's, but still, I could see it. But since I didn't know how to draw it, I just desperately struck the woman with every delusion I could muster. I imagined the sword slicing through her flames, and flung that image at her with my imagination. The burning fangs that threatened to engulf the two of us exploded. And then the fire danced like a snake. It flew in a straight line towards the woman who had created it. It's like the tables have turned. The fire turned into a spiral that leapt at her. She fell over in shock.
先輩
Was that my power? And your D-sword, I think, even though you, well, I hadn't been looking. The D-sword had vanished from my vision. Unfortunate. You didn't actually manage to grasp it. But you did see it, and that is a good thing.
先輩今のうちに逃げ
Arimura suddenly fell silent. I turned to see what she was looking at. Oh, it wasn't going to be that easy. As the air rippled from the smoke and the heat of the flames, the woman slowly stood up. I gasped at the color of her eyes. The fire that had been there a moment ago was gone. The light had burned with hatred was gone. There was only ice. Her eyes were ice, frozen, emotionless, and piercing. Aramura and I couldn't move. Slowly, slowly, with an unsteady rhythm, the woman approached us. Again. And then stopped, a few steps away. Smoke was rising off a garbage bin behind us. The planter by our side was making crackling noises from the heat. There was nowhere to run before us, behind us, or anywhere else. Yeah, we're definitely in trouble, again. As if we weren't already in trouble. I couldn't even hear the bustle of the town, but the beating of my heart sounded even louder. The sound of my saliva running down my throat, the sound of my breathing, the sound of my blood flowing. All of those sounds offered proof that I was still alive. For the moment, at least. We won't be much longer if we actually keep sticking around. But soon they would be gone. They would all disappear. Inside the burning flames.
やったやったぜ
My legs shook. My eyes blurred with tears.
やめくだ
I think it's too late for pleas of mercy.
まだしたく
I could barely speak. But the woman's expression didn't change, not even a little. And as she raised her hand towards me, I closed my eyes. I was going to. Huh? I slowly opened my eyes. And then the woman was gone. Was I saved? Saved is not the word I would use. I think it's more clear to say that we dodged a bullet, even if it was made of flames. All the strength drained from my body and I collapsed to the ground. I thought I was a goner, but we're still here. I thought she would kill me for sure. No, until a moment ago she was definitely going to kill me. I could tell from her eyes. They were cold, without a trace of doubt, uncertainty, or hesitation. So why had she suddenly disappeared? And tell you that it's not a good sign.
有村
I looked up and saw that Arimura was standing there, staring at the spot where the woman had disappeared.
先輩。
どうしたんだ有村もしかしてまだ何か
そうじゃないんです。ただ
ただ
怖くて動けない。
That's not surprising. After everything that's happened.
ここですか。
Well, the good news is we've made it. We've made it to Aoba Clinic. Although I am loath to call it sanctuary now because nowhere in Shibuya is safe. Not the trailer park, not the streets, and certainly not this place. But it is the only shelter we have. So when we return, adventurers, we shall rest, we shall recuperate, and then we shall confront Nono Kurusu and learn the truth between her and Senri Minamisawa. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.